For Energize, Equip, and Execute, planning a large event. And I've given 3 presentations, and not one of them have I started with prayer. And I just thought of that, so I would like to open this one because I feel like that's what we should do. So please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day and for this chance for us all to be together. Please bless our time together. Help us learn from each other how to effectively grow your kingdom. In the Lord's name we pray. Amen. Okay, so like I said, my name is Joy Hamann. I work at Concordia Lutheran Church in San Antonio, Texas. I've been there for about 10 years. My title right now is Director of Marketing, PR, and Special Events. Today I want to talk about 10 steps to, I think, executing a great community event. And I'm going to be referencing 2 different events that we do at Concordia, so I can give you specific examples on how to implement those 10 steps. So, Michael, could you get the light for me real quick while I do this part? So, the 2 events I'm going to talk about are Concordia Fest and Drive-Thru Nativity. Concordia Fest is our annual fall festival. Every October, it's the last Sunday of October. It's free for the community. It takes about 300 volunteers for us to execute, and it's hard for us to take attendance because it's all over campus and we don't have any type of check-in or ticketing system or anything, but we estimate between 1,500 and 2,000 people come every year. So it's moon bounces and bingo, family portraits, pony rides. There's kind of something for every age group, and this year we added some midway games, and it's just a fun event for our Concordia family, and we want our members to invite their friends from the community to come enjoy it with us. Next is our Drive-Thru Nativity. We just finished our 11th year doing this event. We do it every Christmas. Cars pull onto campus, and they're directed by these gentlemen to get them going. He loves that spot right there. They get a CD, and that CD takes them through 10 different stations telling the Christmas story. So it takes over 500 volunteers to execute, and we usually end up having between 8,000 and 10,000 people come through over a 2-night span. It's Saturday and Sunday evenings from 5 to 9 p.m. So these are the 2 events that I'm going to reference throughout the presentation, and tell you some steps on how we make these events happen. Okay, Michael, thank you. Can you turn back on? Okay, so step number 1, establish a goal for the event. You want to ask questions like, what do you want to accomplish through this event? Who do you want to reach? What do you want your guests to experience? And what do you want your guests to take away from the event? So for most of us, I know the goal is always to bring more people to Christ. That's kind of our core thing that we're trying to do. But when you set up a goal for the event, it provides framework for you to make decisions and moving forward about what's important about this specific event. So for Concordia Fest, the goal of this event is to celebrate what God has done through the ministry of Concordia. It's kind of a celebration of our family. And for our family of faith to shine the light of Jesus to the community. We ask members to come and serve for half an hour, and then we also depend on them to invite friends to come too. So we ask them to serve and to invite. Drive-Thru Nativity, the goal of this event is to share the true story of Christmas with the San Antonio community. Once guests pull onto our campus, we want them to escape from the normal kind of craziness and hustle and bustle of Christmas and just spend some quiet time with their family, focused on the true meaning of Christmas, which is the birth of our Savior. So getting these goals for the events written down somewhere, and everybody's who's in on planning it, getting on the same page, helps in making decisions about what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. Step number 2 is set a budget and a timeline for planning. So the budget piece is kind of hard to talk about because it can vary greatly. Concordia Fest, we don't charge admission. It's completely free. The only thing we charge once you get there is concessions. If you want food or candy or something, that's the only thing you need money for when you come, but everything is free, and that surprises a lot of people. They come on to campus and they're like, where do we get tickets for the rides and stuff? And we want to be able to provide that for free. So there's no admission. It's a larger budget for us because we're taking care of everything. Drive-through nativity, we've been doing that for 11 years. We're using the same sets, the same costumes. So what I budget for every year are some upgrades. You know, we might need a new pregnant belly for Mary, or we might want to add some animals, paint a couple of the panels, freshen them up. So my budget for that is much smaller because we kind of paid for all of that towards the beginning. So my encouragement to you as far as budget is just set it and do the best you can to fall within that, and then the following year add to it. You know, if you're starting a new event, it's kind of hard to gauge what the first year will be, but try to stick to your budget so you don't discourage anybody from wanting to do it again. Timeline. This is also dependent on the type of event you're doing. If you're starting a brand new event, I would try not to start planning any less than a year out. And here's why. I think all of us in ministry are extremely busy all the time, and we should be, because our goal is for eternity. It's very important. But there are just things you can and can't get done. So a year out, you're able to sit with your staff and other volunteers and look at the calendar and say, can I add this big new event or small event? All these steps don't have to be for a huge event. You can modify them for small events. Can we add this to all the work we're already doing at this time of year? On our staff, we have 2 calendar meetings a year. One is in June, one is in January, and we put hard dates down through VBS, which is usually end of June. And so we all sit down as a staff, put the calendar together, and make sure we don't have any conflicts, and then we pencil in dates from June to December, just so we have an idea. Then once June comes, we sit down and do the hard dates, make those permanent or make a switch, and then we do the pencil in dates for January to June. So that way we can see what's going on. Can we add an event? Can we not? I mean, we're really busy preparing for the Palm Sunday pageant, so we probably shouldn't add anything else in late March or April, or so we can get everything down and see, can you even add it? You know, what set yourself up for success as far as that goes. A prime example of this, our drive-through nativity used to always be like December 15th through 20th, that whatever Saturday, Sunday that fell on. And a couple of years ago, by the time Christmas came around, both our volunteers, because we have a lot of volunteers, like they always volunteer, it's the same group, and the staff just kind of looked like death warmed over by the time Christmas came. It was not enjoyable at all. We're here to serve, but we were burnt out. And after Christmas, we sat down and said, is there any way we can move the drive-through nativity? Because it's like drive-through nativity are late nights for 2 nights, and then we turn around and switch over for the Christmas pageant and Christmas Eve. We've got 5 services, and then Christmas Day. It's just a lot. So we looked at the calendar and decided, let's try it the first weekend of December. That created a few other complications for me, like costume fittings had to fall on the weekends around Thanksgiving, and a lot of people travel. But we worked it out, and it has worked better. For the last 2 years, we have a week and a half to kind of breathe and regroup and get energized heading into Christmas. So that's a good example of where can I fit this event and where's it going to work for everybody. If you don't have a full year, I'm not saying don't do it, but just I would say at least 6 months out, because when you really sit down and try to get all the details hammered out, if you're trying to do it in any less than that, I think you're going to get discouraged quickly. And then as far as timeline, I have everything set 2 weeks out from the event. And I'll tell you why I think that's important in just a minute. But 2 weeks out, everything's done, finalized, confirmed, and we're pretty much ready to go. Step number 3, organize a committee. I'm having troubles with my clicker. So you know the goal of your event. Now I encourage you to find some people within your congregation or even staff, some of your staff might be on the committee, who understand the mission and the goal for the event, and that you trust as far as delegating some of the bigger pieces. Took me a long time to accept delegation. I kind of take on everything myself, and I could not do these events on my own. It's very clear. So for Concordia Fest, excuse me, I'm going to take a quick drink. For Concordia Fest, 4 people are on that committee. One is our food services director, she's staff. One is our business manager. I just talk to him about budget and run everything through him when I'm planning, especially if I'm adding things, which I might add a caricaturist because I just got my picture done out there and I thought that was so fun. Did you guys see them drawn out there? And then I have one gentleman who's kind of in charge of our men's ministry named Robert. That's him. And he is in charge of rounding up the guys to set up all the tables and chairs the day of the event. So we probably meet twice, 6 weeks out, starting 6 weeks out from the event, because we've done it together for a long time. But he does a wonderful job. He's always prepared. He likes to come and we talk through the map of campus, how many tables we need, chairs, whatever. So when I say committee, I'm not talking about 12 people and you're meeting once a week for 6 months or anything like that. I think if you go into meetings prepared and you stay efficient, then you're going to get some great committee members. And these people like to step up and serve. So I like to give them that opportunity. These guys over here, yesterday when I talked about them, I cried. I'm going to try not to. This is Charlie and Kevin. If everybody could have a Charlie and Kevin, you would be so happy. They are so sweet. They have been in charge of the sets for the drive-thru nativity since I kind of stepped into the position, which is at least 6 years, but they started back when it started. So 11 years. They're the ones that organize the people that come out and set up all the sets. It's about a day-and-a-half job. These gentlemen are both over 80, and they broke up with me this year. After the event, they said, you know, we need to step aside, and I knew it was coming, and I expected it. They have gone above and beyond for that event and me. But so I took them out to lunch and thanked them. But then I've got, so they're on the drive-thru nativity committee, and then these are my costume gals. Costumes for the drive-thru nativity, we have 120 actors, and 2 costume fittings. They have to come to one. So Susan Barnes right here sewed almost every costume by herself, and they take ownership of that. They want the actors to look as authentic as we can make them. So they love serving in that way. We have so much fun together at the costume fittings, and get key people like this who like I said, you trust, they understand the goal, and they're going to take ownership of their piece of the event, because I don't worry about those 2 sections at all. Now, Charlie and Kevin, this year I told them, I said, I always talk about you in this presentation I give, really want your picture in it so they can see your face, but the fact that they're leaving, I realized, wow, I have depended on them maybe too much. So I would also encourage you to have someone shadow these people too. Like when the first time they give any indication that they may want to be stepping aside, find somebody that can step in and follow them. And this year, thankfully, we have a couple who just retired, and they came both days to set up, and Charlie came to me and said, these are your people. They get it. Charlie and Kevin would work on the drive-thru nativity until 4:59. It starts at 5 if they could. You know, they want everything to be perfect, and they recommended this new couple. So get these committees in place and delegate some of this stuff so you don't feel like it's all falling on you. Step number 4 is identify established groups who can help. So I'm going to talk about Concordia Fest with this point. At Concordia Fest, we have face painting. I'm sorry. Whoops. So here's our face painting area. Every year, this is manned by our confirmation kids. So we have between 70 and 90 kids every year in our confirmation program, and they are in charge of this station. And it's great for two reasons. It provides them a chance to serve together, creates unity, ownership among that group, and there's people coming in from the community. We post, it's hard to see in this picture, but face painting is sponsored by Concordia's confirmation class. So it raises awareness that we have a confirmation program, and you don't have to be part of Concordia to be a part of that. So they love doing it. They look forward to confirmation so they can face paint at Concordia Fest. I feel bad people come up to volunteer for the event and we can't. They're like, well, I want to face paint, and I have to say, well, I'm sorry, that's saved for the kids. So they enjoy doing that. Other examples, our men's ministry team, they like to grill every year. That's their domain. They take care of the hot dogs and the brats back there. Our young adult ministry this year ran the Midway games. So they serve together. And then the last example is our 8th graders. You see some here with their parents, and they run the concession stand. A few years ago, they came to me. The 8th grade class goes on a trip to Washington, D.C. every year, and they try to fundraise. And we're careful about not doing too many fundraisers at Concordia. And they thought, is there any chance that we could take over concessions at Concordia Fest so we could use that as a fundraiser? I thought, great idea, would love that, because concessions, whenever we're dealing with money at events, that's one of the things you pay for. We try to be extra careful, and they take tickets, they don't even take money. But anyway, they've taken that over, and for the last 5 or 6 years, I believe, and this last year they raised about $1,400, and profit on that was about $900. So again, we have signs up saying all concession stand proceeds benefit our 8th grade class traveling to Washington, D.C. So people come on campus. Our campus is kind of, it's not obvious we have a school just because of how it's situated. So people coming on that side of campus know we have a school, that we go through 8th grade at least, and that they get to go on a trip to Washington, D.C. So again, benefits them because they get some funds to help the trip. They get to serve together with their parents. I don't know if the kids like that, but the parents do. And I benefit because that's one section I don't worry about at all. The parent volunteer at the beginning of the school year gets in touch with me and says, I'm so-and-so, I'm going to do Concordia Fest, and I write them back and say, great, thank you, here's your checklist. So it's great. So if you have groups that can sponsor something, a piece in your event, go for it. And the last thing is, don't forget your staff. How many of you are staff at a church? And how many of you are volunteers? Okay. So I'm going to talk to just the staff for a second. We have something called All Hands on Deck. So for big events going on at Concordia, no one can be gone who's on staff. Drive-through Nativity, every staff person is there. Concordia Fest, everyone is there. An hour before the volunteers come, about an hour after they leave. Vacation Bible School, everyone is there. No vacation time taken. So this all hands on deck rule provides unity among the staff. We know we're all going to be there working together to make this awesome. And I just think it's good that staff works together in that way. I'm not going to say anything else. So if you can get all the staff together doing that, that's a built-in no-brainer as far as getting people there. Step number 5. Recruit. Yeah. It's church staff. Hang on, I'm going to take a quick drink. I got this tickle I can't get rid of. A lot of the school teachers want to come volunteer, and they do, but we don't. I'll send out a note inviting them to, but it's never, you need to be here. Like, my husband's a teacher in the school, and if he had to work, then I don't know what we'd do with our kids. But Yeah, we encourage that, but it's not mandatory. When I say all hands on deck, it is all the church staff. And to be even more specific, it's the church salaried staff. And that is probably about 30 people. Mm-hmm.
And do all missions and camps and everything stop for your events? Like, okay, nobody can go on a mission trip. No one can go
We don't overlap those. So we don't have mission trips going on when we have Concordia Fest or anything like that. Yeah. Now, like Concordia Fest, our Fusion 78, 7th and 8th grade kids meet on Sunday night. Sometimes they have Fusion, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say, just come to Concordia Fest, and we're going to stay afterwards and clean up and kind of do something else that day. But and Drive-Thru Nativity, we cancel our Saturday evening service because the Nativity takes up the whole campus. But yeah, otherwise we avoid that conflict. Okay, so recruit volunteers. This is one of my favorite parts of planning an event. I think this is fun, and I want to share one thought with you. I want you to consider getting a t-shirt made. Why? Because people will do anything for a t-shirt. This is straight direct quote from my boss, who's right next door. Don't even get him started on it. But these shine shirts I brought to show you samples. So every October we have throughout the year we have shine events, which is where we really push signing up to volunteer for an event. So every October we come out with a new shirt for that year. This is this last year's 2014. And shine is meaningful in our church. Every Sunday after the benediction, our senior pastor says, go out, shine like stars in the universe as you hold out the word of life. Philippians 2:15 through 16. So the love, serve, shine is meaningful to our people. And so we use that line, but a different design every year. And then on the back, we find sponsors. And these are all companies within our church family who wanted to help sponsor a t-shirt. Now, I think there are 14 or 15 logos on here. That's probably the max I would recommend. Generally speaking, this is a little just side note, on a t-shirt, a 12 by 14 looks good on a shirt from small to 3X. So for one setup fee, you get a graphic that'll look good on multiple sizes. And so depending on what type of shirt I'm going to buy that year, we print 1,000 of these. That determines the sponsorship cost. So back a few years ago, this is a basic cotton tee. I chose blue, and I think sponsorships for this were around $200, so 20 cents a piece. They got to be on the shirt. And it always says we support Concordia somewhere. And then like one year somebody was like, why don't we try a performance material? So the sponsorship for these was higher because these shirts are more expensive. This was a different kind of, I get plenty of feedback. Like at the sign up tables, people know that I order the shirts, so they come up and they're like, I like this color. I don't really like this. Don't do this again next year. But yeah, so, and then this was some type of blend. So I would say the sponsorship ranges from $200 to $500, and I have no problem filling the shirt. I have to turn people away. I give people who have done it first right of refusal. So every September comes around, I'm saying I'm getting ready for shirts. Do you want to do it again? Here's the price. And if they say no, then I know that's an open spot. So this works very well. And if people serve long enough, they get a whole new wardrobe. So that's why I try to vary it so much. But I go to the grocery store, I see these shirts. Somebody at the grocery store was just like, I've seen so many people in here wearing that shirt because it was Concordia Fest Day, and it's just a neat thing. Again, we're big on unity, and this definitely provides some unity. When they serve, yep, for that year. So we have a shine event for Concordia Fest, and I have a sample. I'll show you what one of those looks like. Michael, could you get the light again, please? Thank you. So this is the setup. We do all online sign-ups, and we just set up tables and tents outside. People come out, sign up, and they get their shirt. This year, Concordia Fest, the first time we got over 200 people that first day to come out. So I was already over halfway full. It's just kind of become the thing. Our senior pastor is like, "Go, you better sign up today and go out and get that shine shirt." So, and we don't do anything like check and make sure they actually signed up and then give them the shirt. We just we've had visitors come up and they're like, I'm not going to be able to serve, but how much are these shirts? And I just give them one. I mean, the point is that they're worn, and we've never run out to the point where somebody volunteering doesn't have a shirt. If anything, we have a few left over. So, Michael, can you get the light for me again, please? Thank you. So yeah, consider getting a shirt. When you are ready to do your volunteer launch, have all the details in place. How many volunteer positions do you have in each area? Descriptions of the volunteer area. Things like what ages are you looking for? Are you looking for males or females? By being clear with expectations early, I think you direct your volunteers better, and their overall experience serving is better. We require background authorizations for any volunteers on campus who are 18 and over, and so from the get-go they know they've got to go do that, or I'll follow up and say, you got to get on that. And we do, like I mentioned before, we do everything online. So here's a sample page of our drive-through nativity. So here's a picture of the manger scene, the stable. And I have here the position is actor, thank you, angel sitting. Can be a child, male or female, no preference of age. And then if they drop this down, it'll say A or B shift. So our A shift is outside from 5 to 6 and 7 to 8. Our B shift is out on set from 6 to 7, 8 to 9. So right here, if they've never done it before, they can scroll through and look at all the sets and say, oh, I qualify for baby Jesus. I mean, no baby sign up, but I qualify for Mary holding baby because I'm a adult female between 15 and 35. So adding pictures was very beneficial to me because it was hard before that to try and explain what the set looked like. So if you can, go to online signups. We also do mobile. This was built by our web guy, but if you don't need pictures, I'll tell you what, we have gone to Google Forms. It's awesome. I mean, this site, you should have a card sitting on your desk that says bestpractices.church, and I'm going to put this presentation with the steps and samples. The steps are already on, but based on your questions, I'm going to go back in and add some links and things. But we have a registration on there for something, and it's just a Google form. That's first name, last name, dumps it all in an Excel document, and it's done. So obviously online signups are nice because you're not having to do data entry. You can sort it however you want. And so what happens, they come sign up, they hit submit, they get an email that says, thank you for signing up to be Mary in our drive-through nativity. Click here to complete your registration by filling out your background authorization. And then I have all the emails, and it's ready to go. Here's a look at our mobile site. This is like a phone screenshot, so when we announce in church that we need volunteers, our pastor will say, go on your phone right now. You can sign up while you're sitting here in the pew, and then after church you can just stop out and get your shirt. You don't have to use the computer. While we're here, because I got a question about this yesterday, you'll see Integrity Protector is a volunteer spot. This is kind of a fancy term for potty patrol, but it's a great volunteer spot, and I don't know if you've thought about having somebody man your bathrooms, but we have an adult 18 and up, a male for male bathrooms, a bathroom, a female for female bathrooms at VBS, at Concordia Fest, at Drive-Thru Nativity. We figure if anything bad is going to happen, it's going to be in a place like a bathroom. And so these people get to sit, they bring a book, they just make sure that people going in are coming back out in a timely manner. So we never have problems filling that volunteer spot. Okay. So as you can see, we have had some pushback. Some people, the first year we did electronic signups, didn't like it because they didn't have a computer at home or they weren't used to using a computer. So I had volunteers lined up to say, well, come and I'll sit with you and I'll put your information in. But we knew as far as stewardship of time, it was better to do that for us than to get all these paper forms and then try to enter and do all that. So it just made it a lot easier for me. All right, you guys sticking with me? I feel like I need to take a deep breath. Sorry if I get to talking too fast. Somebody just go like this if I get to going.
No, I was to give you a break from talking. We have something called Genius.
Sign Up Genius. I've heard of that too.
We're just starting and we're getting that.
Okay.
The positive side is people go through and say, oh, well, someone else has already signed up there and I know that person, so I'm going to sign up to work with them.
Oh, okay.
And it helps the
That is
other
nice.
people.
Yeah, team up.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, when people sign up here, they just know, they don't know who else is doing it. That reminds me of a story though and one reason another good reason to go to online signups, our drive-through nativity, the first station is a modern family. So they're sitting around the Christmas tree present day talking about Christmas and presents and what the true present is. Everybody wants to do that set because they get to wear their own pajamas. They get to do it as a family. And I get requests all year via email, Joy, can we be the modern family this year in drive-through nativity? It has become so popular that I have set drive-through nativity signups to go live at midnight before on a Saturday night at 2 a.m. I've varied the times because I'm like, I want to see who really wants this position. So we promote that, like drive-through nativity signups go live Saturday at midnight, you know, and because I worry about the initial launch, I stay up, and that's way past my bedtime. So this year I stayed up 12:01, both slots taken. I mean, it was just those and they told me the next day, they're like, yeah, we just stayed up, and as soon as we just kept hitting refresh when it went on, we signed up. So, and then people at church come and they're like, oh man, the modern family's already taken. I'm like, that was taken at 12:01. So yeah, it just, you know, it's fun. It's a good problem to have. But I'm glad that I'm not having paper forms out and people are like pushing each other down to run out and sign up first. Okay, step number 6, get the word out. So you've got your goal, you've got your event mostly planned, you want to get as many people there as you can. So I think we can all agree probably your best route of getting people there is personal invitation from your members. So encourage that. Come up with little cards to hand out and give your members. Low cost for I think it's a big return on investment to get some nice physical invitations printed up, give them to your congregation, say, get these out and come back and get more. But otherwise, at least 6 weeks out, start hitting those community calendars. Some are even earlier than that, actually. Get some stuff out on social media. If you have any news stations, papers in town, send a media release. And I worked at a news station and sat at the news desk, and you definitely have to be creative to stand out and make them want to come see you. So news is looking for conflict, and let's hope that you don't have any of that. But otherwise, they're prominent people, uniqueness, large groups of people, which you hope you have, and if something's new. So first time event on the media release, put, you know, first annual drive-through nativity or whatever it is, and then describe what they'll see when they show up. Because I mean, it's just a quick couple minutes for that news director to look at it and say yep or nope. So if it's the 5th year of something or 10th year, you know, I should post a sample media release, but like for our drive-through nativity, we've been doing it for 11 years, and it's hard to come up with something new. But I put in last year how many cars we had, which is close to 2,000, or added new animals this year. This year I'd like to add a camel. a live camel. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that happen or not, but so come up with something new. Or if you were getting an invitation to something, what would make you go? And write the release in that way. But you don't have to spend a lot of money on advertising between the personal invitation that you give to your congregation and then free postings online. You should get a lot of response to that. Just get it out as early as you can and as far reaching as you can. Okay, step number 7, create a capture plan. So when I say capture, I've got 2 different meanings to that word. First, I think it's important to capture pictures and video of the event. So every year, or at every event, we've got some professional photographers in our congregation and some photographers who just like to take pictures. I email them and ask them to come take pictures for me for promotional value, setup value, reminders. How did I do things last year? I've told photographers, if you see a table, take a picture of it. If you see signage, take a picture of it. Get pictures of volunteers working. Get pictures of groups of people in their shine shirts. Do whatever you can to get photos and videos at the event so you can use it as reference points and you can use them in a celebration after the event. So usually the weekend after Drive-Thru Nativity and the weekend after Concordia Fest, we put together a highlight video to share with the congregation with some numbers and things like that to kind of thank them for being a part of the event. I've got a sample video. Michael, can you hit the lights one more time for me? That we played the week after the Drive-Thru Nativity in 2013.
Last weekend was our 10th annual Drive-Thru Nativity, and it was a smashing success. I want to take a minute to thank everyone who was a part of that. We had people who were parking lot cookie hosts, we had people who were traffic attendants, we had actors, we had all kinds of people working behind the scenes in the kitchen, serving. It was an amazing event. On top of that, we had cookie bakers and we had food preparers, and you as a congregation were amazing. The one thing we added for the 10th annual Drive-Thru Nativity was a prayer vigil. So every hour from 4 o'clock, about an hour before it began, all the
Modern Family.
About an hour after we ended, we had people praying each and every hour, and God answered our prayers. Now you may be saying, why in the world are you wearing a jacket and gloves? Well, one of my memories of this year's Drive-Thru Nativity is going to be that it was the coldest ever, especially Saturday night. When I pulled into the parking lot to get things ready early on, it was 32 degrees, and it got colder from there. But still, an amazing success. On Saturday night, we had 782 cars. That's a bunch. But on Sunday, we had 979 cars. That represents somewhere in the vicinity of 8,000 people. Now, you know what else is really cool? On top of that, from the capture cards that we had, we know that there were over 2,200 first-time guests who came to be a part of our Drive-Thru Nativity. It was amazing, it was wonderful, and you made it happen. So I just wanted to take this time to say thank you. What a blessing it is to serve a congregation that loves reaching the community and loves sharing the gospel. This weekend in our Drive-Thru Nativity, you loved, you served, and you certainly did shine. So again, thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Okay, so the people who did serve at the Drive-Thru Nativity, they kind of look for their picture. Did I make the video? The people that weren't able to be there got to see highlights from it, and hopefully think I definitely have to be a part of that next year. So when you capture things at the event, you can use this kind of stuff later on down the road. Now, Pastor Tucker, and that also, I appreciate that you didn't laugh when he said it was 32 degrees. Yesterday, I heard some chuckles. I was like, well, we are in Texas, so that is very cold for us. That day, that Saturday, every year on Saturday, I get a bunch of phone calls all day anyway. But that year, I got a lot of calls. It looks real cold. We still gonna do it? And I was like, yeah, we went and bought some heaters and hid them in the sets and went and bought a bunch of gloves and stuff, hand warmers. We made it happen, but thank you for not laughing at that part. The second thing in that video The numbers that Pastor Tucker was talking about and the capture card is this right here. For years, we let 2,000, almost 2,000 cars go through our drive-through nativity and did not do anything to find out who was in that car. And a guy in our congregation who's a marketing genius came to me and said, do you see any need to stay in touch with these people? I mean, here they come to your campus and you're just letting them go. And so I said, well, what can we do? So when they pull onto campus now, they get a card this size. It's black and white. It's cheap to print because we're getting it back. We don't put any color on it or anything. It just says, welcome to our 11th annual drive-thru nativity. We want to send you 2 special gifts. When people hear that they get a gift, they're probably going to give you their name. So it just says name, total friends and family in my vehicle, which that then helps me get a more accurate count of who comes. Now, not everybody's going to turn this in, but the majority do. Before that, we were figuring 3 or 4 people per car. Is this your first time at the drive-thru nativity? I didn't think to ask that question until 2 years ago, but that's useful to us. And then it says choose one of 2 ways to get your video gifts. Text DTN 14 to 51555, that's our number right now, or use this email to send me the link. So when people would text, they would get an auto response that says you're almost done. Please click here, where they would enter their email, and then we'd get their email either if they texted or if they wrote it on the card. And it says, please place this card in the box while exiting. Return this card as you exit to be entered into our drawing to win a $100 Christmas gift card. So for an investment of $100 and printing, we got, where are my numbers here? 1,352 cards back, 933 email addresses. At Concordia Fest, we gave away an iPad, and we found out that we had 69 new families on campus that day. So these email addresses allow us to thank them for coming. The video gift is a video of our drive-thru nativity. We already had that, so it was no cost to us, but people appreciated that. They'd say, thank you so much. I wanted to tell my family in Wisconsin about the drive-thru nativity, and I got to send them the link. One year I got my husband serving overseas, and I sent him the link so he could see what we got to do this last weekend. So people like the video of the drive-thru nativity. Another thing we did on these cards, when people pull on a campus at the highest, most busiest times, they can wait up to an hour to actually start the drive-thru nativity. They weave through our parking lot. They get a bag of homemade cookies to eat, snack on. If there's dogs, we give them little dog treats. But we thought surely there's something we can give them to do during that time to kind of keep them engaged and not get bored. So we came up with an idea for a Christmas quiz. So there's a quiz with 25 questions. They can scan this QR code and it takes them to this quiz, 25 questions, fun to answer as a family, and it gives them something to do. So that's what we put on the back. If they completed the quiz, they were entered into the drawing for the $100 gift card. So again, people are very willing to fill out something like this, and then we use those email addresses. I don't bombard them. We send them the video gift. I'll send them an email, like a constant contact type, thanking them for, like a week later, thanking them for coming, reminding them of our Christmas services, and then I kind of leave it. And then for Easter, I'm going to send them another email saying, we know you came to the drive-thru nativity. We'd love to have you back for our Easter egg hunt. So it is a way for us to stay connected because they gave us their email address. Another thing I like to do at the end when they exit is give them a physical invitation. So that's what this looks like when it's out, but the front says you're invited. Here's a note from our senior pastor. Here's our Christmas services. So remember, we're about 2 weeks out from Christmas. Our social media, our New Year's services, and then a save the date for our Vacation Bible School, which is the largest outreach event we have. And but I don't run that one. Our children's director does. And that we're enrolling at our school. So you've got that last opportunity to give them something in their hands And what are you going to tell them about your church? And how are you going to get them back? So that's what I mean by capture. Get photos and videos, and then try to get something from them, some type of information to stay in contact with them. And I think, like, it makes me sad that for so many years we didn't do anything, because they might come onto your campus and that's the only time they hear about Jesus. So I think it's important to do what you can to invite them back. A lot of people are just looking for an invitation to come. The tickle's back. Oh, you're sweet. I'll probably choke on it, but thank you. Yeah, just be honest. Thank you, though. Okay, step number 8, communicate. So the time frame of 2 weeks out that I talked about earlier, it's time to give you, that time frame gives you a lot of time to do your final communication. So with staff, 2 weeks out, we have a meeting called an IPR, which is in progress review. So I come to that meeting and I list out everything, like, these are the moon bounces I have coming. These are all the events. I have a map done up so they can see where everything's going to be. These are the new events we're having this year. This is where people are going to buy tickets for food. You know, I have everything laid out that I've done up to that point, and that's my chance to get the staff up to speed, because in that 2 weeks, when people come to church, they start asking a lot of questions about Concordia Fest. Why I'm going to serve, where am I going to show up, or what do I do? And if I'm the only person that knows that, I'm answering a lot of questions. And so that IPR gives the staff a chance to know what's going on, and it kind of equips them to answer those type of questions. It also gives the staff a chance, if I have made a plan, and sometimes I can get tunnel vision, and I lay it out for them, sometimes they see things that aren't going to work, and then I have time to fix it, instead of like meeting the Friday before Sunday and I freak out because I don't have time to change my plan. Laying it all out, they say, you know what, that morning you can't have all the 8-foot tables on campus because we need 10 of them in the narthex for something, you know. So it just gets us all on the same page, and it gives us time to fix any problems or conflicts that we might have.
This is something you give in a written form.
Yep. Yep.
And remember.
I'm very visual, so I kind of make them be visual too. I just, on a list. And that way they take it, and if they look at it again, they can think, you know, I didn't see this in the meeting, but that's a problem. So staff. And then next, I communicate with volunteers. I bombard volunteers with emails from 2 weeks out up till the event. I mean, just over and over and over. Not every day, but so 2 weeks out, I'll send a note. Thanks so much for signing up for Concordia Fest. Reminder, you need to be there a half an hour. You signed up for this, because I already have that in the database online. You need to arrive 30 minutes before your shift. Check in at the volunteer center, located in the Circle Drive. You know, you're working pony rides. You need to wear closed-toed shoes so none of the ponies step on her feet. Or what's another? You know, you're working first aid, so be sure to bring this, this, and this. You're an integrity protector. Feel free to bring a book. Specialized things to plant the seed and get them thinking about their volunteer role. This is good for me because it lets me lay out the guidelines. I reinforce my expectations from before. Sometimes by then people have not gone to fill out their background authorization form, so I gently remind them to do that. But it gives them a chance then to hit reply and tell me, you know what, I forgot about our family reunion that day. I can't serve. So it opens the door for them to just quickly respond to me and say, I can't be there. Then I know I have that open spot. If they just signed up at the Shine event and I didn't send them anything until the day of, I would have a ton of no-shows, a ton of open spots, and I am type A, if you can't tell, and that just would cause me to freak out. So just communicate. So 2 weeks out, a week out, the week of, final reminders. Sometimes I'll do a blanket email that applies to everybody. The whole 30 minutes early, you know, the food booth will open at this time. Here's the cost of a hot dog, things like that. So just over communicate with your volunteers, and they know, they tease me. I've gotten about 1 million emails from you, but I would rather that than them feel like I signed up to serve and then I didn't know what I was getting into. And then communication with vendors. So, I'll call 2 weeks out and confirm. I have already signed about 6 months out. I signed the contracts for the rides and games, drive-through nativity for the animals that we rent, things like that. So I call and confirm, did you get the check we sent in the mail? What's our balance? When do you need that? What's the cell phone number of the guy that's going to be in charge of the moon bounces? So I can get a hold of him. This is where he's going to pull in on campus. And then I'll call a week later, and I won't give the information. I'll say, hi, Diana, it's Joy. Just calling to check on my stuff. What time are you going to arrive? What rides do we have? And because I've already done this. And so I'm letting her tell me, so I'm sure that she's on the same page. A few years ago, this is my drive-through nativity story, which reinforces the need to communicate with vendors. I had called the gal bringing the animals for drive-through nativity. The event starts at 5, and I had done everything else and a final run through, and I realized we don't have any animals. And it was like 4:45 and nothing. She wasn't pulling onto campus or anything. So I call her, and I was like, you were supposed to be here at 4 o'clock. Where are you? We're about ready to start. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I know we talked about this. I'm behind, and I'll be there soon. So I'm a stickler, like I really like to start on time. And so she pulled onto campus. We held the cars because there are usually cars lined up about 10 till to start. And we let her through, and we're like quickly getting donkeys off and sheep and drop them here and get them tied up here and whatever. And at the 9th, at the manger scene, we have lots of animals, including a llama. And I'm not kidding, at like 1 till 5. I get on the radio, I'm like, send the first car. And I get in the trailer, and I wish I had a picture, I was trying to pull this llama who was just standing there, like looking at me. I was like, come on, just get out here. And, she apologized. She's like, I knew the time, but that is just, if you have somebody like that who you're a little questionable, just keep calling. I know she appreciates it, and she's always like, oh, hi. Yes, I'll be there at 4 because she remembers the story or whatever. But just over communicate with vendors, because typically if they're outside your church, they're not invested in the event. They're getting paid to give you a service. So it's not that it's not important for them to be on time, but it's not like a volunteer or someone who's there to, who's invested in what you're doing. Number 9, execute the plan. So for months you've been planning this event, you've had meetings with your staff, you've talked to your volunteers about expectation, what the plan is for the event. Don't change your plan during the event unless it's an emergency. If you see something that you could do better next time around, write it down and do it the next time. Here's an example again from our drive-through nativity. We have to be very careful when we end up with, there's a max of how many cars we can physically get through between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. through our campus. So the second night this year we hit like 1,011 cars, and every year I'm hoping for that 1,000 a night. But we can get ourselves into trouble because of where we're located, of traffic backing up on the street and all that. So we have a plan for an emergency entrance and exit that nobody can come in and out of. How we get cars from the road backed up onto our campus, where we put them and weave them around. And during the event, something came up, and we're all on radios. And my boss, who has the comment about the t-shirt, this is also his line, came on the radio, and we had a plan for getting a car in and out, and he wanted to change it. And it was so perfect because I always wait to use his own lines on him, and so he went through this whole thing, was talking with our police officer about, well, here's what I think we should do, we should just move this and just let him do the whole thing. And then I just came on and I said, Greg, execute the plan. There was a little silence, then he came back on, all right, let's do it. If we had changed that plan, the volunteers who had been told, don't move any cones, or don't let this happen. They would be confused. It would cause panic. You have a plan, just stick with it. And we made it work, and it was fine. It was not an emergency. So in all your little details, unless it's something major that you just can't complete as it is, just don't change it. But also ask your staff and your volunteers. I welcome feedback every year. I'm going to talk about that point in a second. But have volunteers and staff be your eyes and ears during the event and write things down, because you always want to debrief your event. So it's like events come and go, and the night after an event's over, I just feel this, it was fun, but I just feel this huge weight lifted off my shoulders, right? But it's not done. I'm really not done with the event. It's important to sit down and talk through things that worked, that didn't work. We should do this again. We should not do this again. You didn't think about this. I don't ever take that stuff personally, because I don't believe I'll ever have a perfect event. So, but I depend on people to tell me. They know they're not hurting my feelings or whatever. They know I expect them to tell me what we can do better. So we sit down and have an AAR, which is an after action review, with the staff, and they're able to provide me some perspective from their vantage point of the event. So we have made a lot of changes due to debriefs, and I wouldn't skip over that. I would invest the 30, I mean, they're typically 20, 30 minutes. They don't take a long time, but I think it's important to walk through your event and see what you can do better next time around. I think that's it. Does anybody have questions for me? Yes.
With your t-shirt, that's a cool idea. So if they sign up for that event, they just wear it, you have your second big event.
Yep. So if they sign up to serve at Concordia Fest, they know they don't need to get another one when they sign up for Drive-Thru Nativity. So we'll have that Shine event for Concordia Fest early October. So I've got 3 to 4 weeks to fill it. The weekend after Concordia Fest, now that we moved the Drive-Thru Nativity up, that's only like a 5-week difference, we launch Drive-Thru Nativity signups. So they know, don't grab another shirt. Then for Easter egg hunt, we do it again. We put the shirts out, and but they're also available for our weekly volunteers. You know, there's people in the church who serve every week. They come up and get a shirt. Like we just want to get them out, because otherwise they're going to sit in a box up in storage and never get. Like, we just want people to wear them.
Do you find that the next time you have the big event, or like VBS or whatever, because you've done get your t-shirt, you get everybody to sign up for the first event, not as much for the second?
No, because there's a lot of people who, like, Drive-Thru Nativity is their thing. We do have a lot of overlap volunteers, but like for VBS, they get another shirt. It's just a plain colored shirt, but we just like shirts. We just give them out. So, yeah, while the shirt is an incentive to sign up, we just have a lot of faithful people who just like to serve. So, anything else? Yeah.
Where do you get your budget? If you don't do fundraisers for this, where do you get your budget from? Do you like special offerings, or?
Like for the school, or
Like your big event.
For the event.
oh, it is just part of the ministry budget that we work with. So it's like I put together an marketing and advertising budget. I have a special events budget. So we plan. Now, Drive-Thru Nativity, we do take a free will offering at the end. That typically will cover our costs for the next year. But it's not even, it's a box that stands on its own and nobody says anything about it, because we don't want to, we promote it as a free event, and that's what it is. There are people who pull up and they're like, well, I want to give something, and we'll say, oh, well, there's a box down the road, but we don't push that or anything. Concordia Fest is just built into our budget every year. Anything else? Good. Okay, so that on that card, that bestpractices.church, like I said, the 10 steps are already up, but I'm going to add like a PDF of this card in case you would be interested in doing something like this. I'll include the PDF of this invitation. This is done in InDesign. Any layout program will do something like that. And then if you have any questions, please email me. My email's on the back of that card too. And if you do anything like a big event, tell me about it. I always like to hear what other churches are doing too. Do not take any of this as this is the way to do it. This is how we do it and works for us. And I hope that you'll, at least a couple of these steps are something that you can use at your church. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.